Hi guys, my name is Megan and today I've got some of my favorite enemies to lovers romances for you. Alright, so I know a lot of you probably already know about this whole trope of enemies going from, being actual enemies or, adversaries or rivals, whatever, to friends to lovers or just from enemies straight to lovers. So this is one of my favorite tropes in fiction, one of my favorite tropes in fan fiction, and I love when I can find it in the books that I love reading. So I thought I'd share some of my favorites with you today. So the first one on today's list is going to be the Chicagoland Vampire series. I know I talk about this book series a lot, but Ethan and Merritt are some of my favorite characters. Their whole relationship starts out on this super sketchy, he turned her into a vampire to save her, but she didn't really give consent to do that. And Merritt kind of will not stand for that. She gives him the cold shoulder. She's so not into him, and then their romance is very kind of grudgingly growing, and then until they fall head over heels in love with each other and goes on from there. So Ethan and Merritt are some of my favorite characters for this. So the second book in this recommendation is actually the book that sparked this whole idea for this video, and that is Red, White, and Royal Blue. I love this book so much. It's so good. I love Alex and I love Henry. They are just two sweet characters and I love them, and I love them together. So this one starts off with Alex, who is the son of the first woman president in the US, and he's kind of got this weird hatred of Henry, who is a crown prince in Britain. He just doesn't like him, and one of the other characters described it as a Draco Malfoy level obsession, and I love that. And this starts off with them getting into an altercation, and there's pictures taken and splashed all over the paparazzi magazines, and and this forces both the staff of the White House and the staff for the royals to come up with this plan to make them look like they've been best friends forever. So it kind of goes from enemies to fake friends to best friends to lovers, and I really love this idea, and I love this book so much. So the next book in this recommendation is going to be Carry On by Rainbow Rowell. This is one of my favorite enemies to lovers. I really love Simon and Baz. I love their little rivalry. I love that Simon is always thinking that Baz is plotting against him, and Baz is just trying to do what Baz does. And he may have tripped Simon down some stairs at some point. That's not important. And it goes from them being complete enemies to being in a relationship almost overnight, and it's just such a good story. I love these characters. They're just so cute together, and honestly, it's one of the best enemies to lovers romances out there. So the next one on this list is Sky in the Deep. This one is not your typical romance. This one is actually centered around two Viking tribes that are blood feuding, and it's just this whole thing. And then our main character, Aelin, sees her brother, who she thought had died in a battle years ago, and he's fighting for the other village, and Aelin gets captured and is basically forced to live with the family that took in her brother and cared for him when he was sick and almost died. And this one is a true enemies to lovers romance. There have been 3 to 4 different attempts to kill our main character by the male love interest. He tried to kill her 4 times, and then she was basically living as a slave in his house. And once they've fought side by side a few different times in this book, they slowly begin to realize that they have more in common than they don't, and maybe there's some attraction there, and slowly they fall in love. And I really like that this one is a true enemies to lovers, because there are several knockdown drag out fights ending in bloodshed and almost being killed, and I really loved this one. So then the last book on this recommendation is going to be Sorcery of Thorns. So this one is also not your typical romance. So this book follows Elizabeth, and she is a librarian in training at one of the great libraries of Ostermere, which the great libraries are built to protect the citizens of the land from these grimoires, which are basically spell books for sorcerers. And these spell books come alive, and something happens in this book, and it causes Elizabeth to be, sent to jail for something she didn't do. And, she kind of goes to the one person that she can for help, but, they don't really get along, and that is Nathaniel Thorn, who is a sorcerer. He's one of the most powerful sorcerers in this land, and, her and Nathaniel don't hit it off right off. There's kind of a mutual hate, adversarial relationship going on there, and then slowly they kind of get to know each other, and, they kind of fall in love, and it's just one of the coolest romances that I've seen in a book series. And also, this one being a book about books is pretty awesome. Alright guys, so those are my choices for some of my favorite enemies to lovers romance books. Do you guys have any books that have an enemies to lovers romance? Let me know down below, because I'm always looking for new romance books. If you guys like this video, don't forget to hit the like button. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. You can also hit the notification button. And if you'd like to follow me on social media, check out the links down below. Alrighty, bye guys!